Hello, my name's Terry O'Toole, and I run painting classes at the parish rooms in St Anne's. Painting classes for beginners and improvers. And today's theme, I'm showing people how to paint from photographs using acrylics. Now the first thing we need to do is to get ourselves an appropriate size of sheet of watercolour paper. And then what we do, we tape the paper down onto a ring binder. This is just ordinary masking tape. So we put the masking tape up to the edge of the paper and rub that down onto the ring binder. And we tape the paper all the way around to keep it in place, to keep the paper in place, and secondly, keep the paper flat. And thirdly, once we've finished the painting, we take this tape off and you'll be left with a nice white, clean, short border, which gives you an idea of what your picture would look like in a mount. Once you've taped your paper up like that, you want to do a little bit of sketching. Today's theme is very appropriate, seeming it's Easter time. First thing we need to do is the flower heads. And as you can see, I'm just sketching out the flowers very loosely in a very sketchy-like fashion, not getting too detailed at this stage. I'm also going to show you how to use masking fluid. Masking fluid is wonderful. It's a wonderful medium, very useful for those intricate scenes. It's very good for leaving areas of white that you might like to fill in with colour later on in the painting. I'm going to use Okay, so I've drawn out my daffodils. I hope you can see that. I say that because I've drawn them very lightly. I think it's the best way to go, particularly if you don't want any of the pencil work showing through your painting. Now, the next step, once you've got your daffodils in place, you want to use some masking fluid. And for a small bottle like this, you should pick up a bottle for less than £5. And it's wonderful stuff, and I'm going to show you how to use it. First of all, you give it a gentle shake, and then pour some out onto your palette, or if you like, I'm using a milk bottle lid here. Got a little bit of masking fluid in there. Always make sure you put your lid on tightly because it dries out very quickly. And then you can brush that onto your daffodil area, either using an old watercolour brush, or what I use is a lollipop stick. It does the job very suitably. If you're going to use a quality watercolour brush, I suggest you put a little bit of soap on the brush first, then dip the brush into the masking fluid, and make sure you rinse the brush off thoroughly after in cold water. Here you see, I've got the masking fluid in the lid. I'm going to dip my lollipop stick in there, a sharpened, cut lollipop stick, and I'm going to put this masking fluid on the daffodil area, as you can see. Now, you may not be able to see this on film because this is clear masking fluid. When I say clear, there's no colour in it. This does take a little bit of time, but the end result is worthwhile. You will find it's a very satisfying result indeed. As you can see, the masking film is in place on all the daffodil heads and some of the stems. Okay. Now, to speed things up a little bit, I'm going to take this over to the hairdryer. Next step, once your masking fluid is dried into this film, we can mix some colour for the background. First of all, I'm picking up a little bit of red. Cadmium red, and then I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. In fact, this is cadmium yellow, and I've now, as you can see, got an orangey coloured mix, an orangey coloured mix. If you want to make that look a little bit more naturalistic, a little bit earthy if you like, add a little bit of blue to the mix. And you'll end up with a colour something like that. Okay, to wet the entire sheet of paper. I don't need to worry about the daffodils anymore. I can just wash straight over the film. Once I've dampened the paper, I can pick up my other brush, which is loaded with this earthy colour, and brush that straight over, like so, getting rid of all the white of the paper. Okay. Now, is that strong enough? I don't think so. I think we need some stronger colour on there. So I'm going to pick up some more red and some more yellow and make this darker still. I can okay, put plenty of colour on, like so. Don't be afraid. It's only a piece of paper. That's all it is. If you get it wrong, get yourself another sheet of paper and have another go. Now, have some more. Finish with that colour, so I'm going to rinse out my brush. It's important that you rinse your brushes out straight away with acrylics. Acrylics dry very quickly and they will clog up your brushes, and you don't want that. Now, there's different ways of taking the film off. You can take it off with your fingers, but we found in the classes that it's better to take the film off with a putty rubber. So if you take the film off gently, you will see the white of the paper. There's nothing complicated about this. Very straightforward, very easy, and yet so effective. If I can do it, you can do it. It's best to brush from the outer edges of the flowers and brush inwards, because if you brush from the inside outwards, you might just lift some of the paper. Right, there you go. There's a good view of how it looks at this stage with the masking film removed. Now, the next step is, well, first of all, I need to rinse this wash of colour off my, this puddle of colour off my palette, just using some damp tissue paper, ready for a new mix. Now, let's put some yellows on, and let's get some of that yellow in there. Lovely. Nice tint of yellow there. Not too strong at this stage. With watercolours and acrylics, you tend to go from the lightest colours and work your way to the deepest colours. It's just slightly deeper yellow in places. We'll put some green on. So simply add some blue to your yellow. Long sweeping strokes. Paint with long sweeping strokes rather than lots of little hesitant marks. By having a go at the long sweeping strokes, you give it a little bit more life, a little bit of movement in the painting, if you like. Now, in my own time, I would need to spend another little while on this, painting up the background, putting a little bit more work on the flowers. But for a very quick demonstration, you can see what an effective result you can get in just no time at all. Just using the three colours a couple of brushes, a little bit of masking fluid. So I hope that's been of interest to you. I hope it's got you enthused to have a go. Maybe you'd like to join up and enrol on a painting class. Thank you very much.